Hello, it's Joel Mark Witt, Antonia Dodge. It's freezing, very cold here in central Pennsylvania. It was like down to 19 like 2 nights ago, right?
Yeah.
Degrees. It's very cold.
We're trying to grab like the very tiny little last bit of sun that the day has to offer.
You can see the view we have of the sunset. We're trying to make it work, even though it's like cold. Yesterday we did a live summit for profiler training, our profiler training class. And so today we thought, let's take a day off, since we are always doing stuff all the time. But even though we took a day off, we still ended up talking about work stuff. And we were just sitting here chatting about the difference between, so I'm an INFP in the Myers-Briggs system, and Antonia is an INTP, and we were talking a little bit about how we do storytelling a little different, how we explain things in a different way.
Actually, what we were really talking about is my dad.
Well, that's
and
true.
Your grandfather, who are, my dad's definitely an ESTP, and your grandfather died about 7 years ago, but you're like sort of been retroactively typing him, and you're suspecting that he might have also been an ESTP because he had the same quirk that my dad does.
Yeah.
Which is that both of them tell stories, like the same stories endlessly over and over, almost on loop, and the older they get, the more they tell like the same stories and are almost perpetually in output. Yeah. By the way, I just did the thing that we're about to talk about. So I just want to tag that. Which is I corrected you on what exactly is happening.
That's true.
So the reason why that's funny is because we were discussing how one of the idiosyncrasies that both my father and your grandfather have is that they will they will interrupt their story to get a detail right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they can't remember that detail, they'll, in the course of a story that they have like a rhythm going, and maybe it's even an interesting one. Now, granted, my dad tells like literally the same 10 stories over and over and over again, so they'll be interesting to a new audience. But he's got the early stages of dementia, my father does, and so now he's like missing some of these moments in these stories he's told a million times. And he'll interrupt the story to be like, oh, what was that thing again? Like, in 1957,
yeah,
we were driving down the street and it was a summer day. Wait, was it summer or was it spring? And he'll just like stop the story and for a while think about whether or not it was summer or spring. And then Joel was saying that I do that too.
You
like,
do.
I'll tell a story and I'll be like, okay, so we're going to the coast and wait, was it Astoria or was it Cannon Beach? Oh, and I'll like stop the story to try to figure out whether or not it was Astoria or Cannon Beach, even though it's not relevant at all.
Yeah.
That piece of data is like super important to me.
And you'll spend like 15 minutes sometimes trying to figure out this. You'll actually go and Google something.
Yeah.
You'll look for a reference point, and I'm like, does this matter? I have to get it right before we can go on with the story.
Well, I mean, I'll keep going with the story because I'm not quite that old, but
yeah,
I will.
No, you will go Google stuff.
I will go Google it. I'll be like, hold on a second. As I'm telling the story, I'm like, which is the beach that has the thing? Is it Astoria or is it Cannon? So, anyway, so we were talking about this yesterday, and actually we had even like kind of a moment of like tension because on our INTX Unleashed program, we've got we have a giveaway that Joel kept referring to recording a video about the survey. And I'm like, the survey? What are you talking about? And he's like, the survey for INTX. And I'm like, the survey? And then I realized, you mean the giveaway? He's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And we realized that when it comes to, for his FI, the details don't matter. Like, if he gives me an impression of something that is close enough, then I should be able to infer what he means. Like, you actually do a lot of reliance on inferences. Like, just the person should infer what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't rely on inference at all.
You get the gist.
Yeah.
You get the point of it.
You understand. ITX, right?
Close enough, right?
Survey. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I'm like, you mean the give... And I'll like... But if it was reversed, and I'd be like, the ITX... No, it's not a survey. And if I couldn't think of the word giveaway, I'd like pause for a moment and be like, okay, what I mean is giveaway. And at the beginning of this video, if you noticed, he said something that was like, hey, we're talking about this one thing. And I was like, well, actually what we're talking about is my father and your grandfather, which is yet another example of that. And the reason why we wanted to record a video on this is people are forever asking us, how do I tell if I'm an IFP or an ITP? How do I tell if I'm an ECP or an EFP? And like Joel said, because he's an ENFP and I'm an ENTP, we talk about introverted thinking and introverted feeling a lot, right? Because it's like the thing that is different for us. It's the thing that we're always trying to kind of manage and navigate through, etc. Because we share a driver process of extroverted intuition or exploration. So it's introverted feeling or authenticity and introverted thinking or accuracy that's always, like, that captures our attention a lot. And I think if you're trying to suss out, we don't know this to be true, but I get the feeling that this is probably one of those behavioral indicators, one of these tells about the differences between the two types. When you're just telling a story, are you like me, where you got to get the detail right, that data point, like even if it's not that important in the story, you still kind of have to get it right, and if you don't, it's annoying to you? Or are you more like Joel, where you kind of infer it, like if it's close enough, it's good enough, because it doesn't really matter that much anyway, and the point is the gestalt of the story. It's like the impression of the entire story, as opposed to like that individualized detail, which may or may not be relevant at all.
Yeah.
I just completely took it over. You popped on Facebook Live, and I'm like...
What?
I just completely took over your Facebook Live. I'm sorry.
What she said.
I'm sorry. I'll go back to drinking my tea.
I'm just happy to be here. And watch the magic happen, I guess. Yeah, so... And we're, like, I think, like, when you said, like, when we went to the beach, I'd probably be like, yeah, so we went to the beach to go swimming, and you mean the river? I'm like, yeah, whatever, it was a body of water, we're going to go swimming. The point is we're going swimming. Like, why does it matter if it was the beach or a river? Like, what does that matter, literally? Like, it doesn't matter the story at all. And that's kind of, that's probably how I'm more likely to do it. I mean, if the detail matters, I'll try to get it right. But, yeah, it's about the point of the story in the first place, not about the details.
The details matter to you if they alter the story. But the details matter to me even if they don't alter the story, because I don't want anybody to have corrupted data, even if it's not that, even if it's just like a mildly relevant piece of data. I want the data to be pure.
Well, and it's because when you go to make a decision, or when somebody that uses introverted thinking or accuracy to make a decision, they will make bad decisions if any bits of their data are corrupt. So the point is to have as many, because you're pulling a lot of, like you're pulling all the data really quickly to assemble a decision making in the moment.
Yeah.
And if it's corrupt, you can't rely upon it for being able to make a decision. So what you do is you prevent hassle later by always making sure your data is as clean, quote unquote, as you can have it at the start of getting that piece of data into yourself. Right,
because what if I tell a story about Astoria, but it was actually canon, and in the future somebody's like trying to determine whether or not they want to go to one of those two beaches, and they reference back to a story I told, and I gave them corrupted data, and now they have bad data to work on, and they choose the wrong beach because I gave them bad piece of information like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That could happen. And I don't want to be responsible.
I guess that could happen.
That would make me feel terrible if they came back.
Well, that's one thing. You were talking about the INTX program that's going to be re-releasing this week. Christian, one of the people that we interview in there, is an INTP, and he was talking about this in his interview about how INTPs will do this in a social setting, or TI in general, introverted thinking, accuracy will do this. INTPs, and probably ENTPs as well. Like somebody will be telling a joke or a story, and like he uses this analogy, like, you know, at the end of the joke is like, and then the penguin, you know, flew, and the introverted thinking person, the INTP or ENTP, or even ESTP, ISTP, whoever, basically goes, wait a minute, penguins don't fly, and they're like focused in on the point about penguins not flying, and sometimes can miss the entire point of why the joke was being told, just to kind of communicate something funny. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be accurate. And then he goes on to talk about how, you know, about with social interaction for an INT, for an INTP in particular, they can basically let go of some of that accuracy when they're in a social setting, just in order to have the energetic exchange. So I thought that was interesting that Christian in that interview talked about. You have something you want to say on that?
No, I was just going to say, like, this is how they work, but the question is specifically in storytelling. I would love to know, like, how anybody who's watching this, if anybody's watching this, whether or not, if they're an IFP or an EFP, if they're an FP, if they're using introverted feeling or authenticity, do they resonate with that concept of allowing the inferences? And if they're using introverted thinking or accuracy, no matter, like, whether it's a driver co-pilot, do they resonate with having to get the detail right, and it's almost like a pattern interrupt when it's not. Like, it's disruptive to themselves or to others when the piece of information isn't accurate.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know if that's like something in storytelling that people would resonate with. If it is, well then that's one of the things that we can use to go, if the person's like trying to figure out which type they are, well, do you go this way or do you go that way?
My hands are freezing. How did you get gloves?
I ran in and got them.
Why didn't you bring me some when you came out?
Sorry.
It's like that scene in Dumb and Dumber. You've had 2 pairs of gloves this whole time?
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you, Lloyd. I'm like sitting here shivering my hands. I'm like using the teacup to keep my hand warm.
Here.
And I'm saying, no, don't hand me your gloves now. This is too little too late. And they're too small. They're not gonna fit my hands.
I wasn't gonna hand you my gloves.
Oh,
I was
just
gonna
pour me
hand
more
you
tea?
This nice, cool, big
Right,
cast iron teapot that you bought me for my birthday one year.
Do you feel complete about the thing we wanted to talk about? Did you do enough talking, Antonia? That's what I really want to ask.
Yeah, I think I was a know-it-all teacher long enough for the moment to sate me.
All right, cool. So if you have something you'd like to comment about how you process information, leave a comment below the video.
Are we right, is the question.
Yeah, I have no idea. But this is something we're positing, and we're wondering how you would do it if you're an FP or a TP. So let us know. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.